This story is making the rounds on the net, and indeed, it's one of the better general warning releases about space weather you're going to see in the mainstream news. The article goes over how GPS, power grids, and any electrical system really is at risk during solar storms. And while this activity cycle is not yet at its peak, the sun is already producing more than was expected. When the sun unleashes a solar flare in coronal mass ejection, or CME, it can overwhelm the Earth's electrodynamic system, overloading the atmosphere with charged particles and electric currents and magnetic fluctuations from the top of the sky down to the crust. And indeed, a big one can send us back to the Stone Age by taking out all the grids, including the transportation and manufacturing sectors, leaving no real way to rebuild, at least not before the lack of electricity breaks down the modern world, and millions, if not billions, lose their lives due to lack of clean water, lack of food, heat, air conditioning, emergency services, hospitals, and more. The sun is going quite a bit higher than expected. The red line is predicted activity values in the 11-year cycle, and as you can see at the black dots, the month by month, we've gone up much faster than expected. We are now expected to go even higher, and while it is possible that this cycle will have a double peak with a trough in the middle, both peaks are likely to outperform the predictions made before this cycle began. But folks, it's actually even worse than this article lets on. The sun produces a superflare every 150 to 200 years, or 163 years since the last one, before there was an electric-dependent world to destroy. And it's only a matter of time before the worst happens. The flare itself takes 8 minutes to arrive as X-rays move at the speed of light, and while most CMEs take 2 to 4 days to arrive at Earth, in the big one there may only be an hour or two of warning. By the way, no, those plasma bubbles the lunatics at the World Economic Forum are talking about to block sunlight would not help. Not to block sunlight or a CME. It's just more plasma to be pushed into the atmosphere. Furthermore, what it would take for the sun to end the modern world is decreasing by the day. Earth's magnetic field is weakening as the entire solar system is shifting, and this decrease in our defensive magnetic shield means that a storm that wouldn't have been a huge problem 50 years ago may be a huge problem now.
That's a very interesting way of putting it. Most people say we want to go heal the world. Most people say we need to save the earth. But does the world need saving? The answer to that actually is yes and no. Insofar as the human species is a part of the world needs saving. It's the human species that needs to save itself from itself. The only cause of any problem, or even why the question would arise, does the world need saving, or can we save the world? The only reason that question would even arise is because of the human species, the crazy two-leggeds who have taken over the earth. The issue then really is, can the human beings stop themselves from destroying themselves as a key ingredient of the earth? Of course, we believe the answer is yes, we can do that. We can stop ourselves. We can keep ourselves from self-destruction. It may also be that the Creator has a plan that will keep the human beings from even getting to that point. The world in itself, the earth, Mother Earth has taken care of herself for over 4 billion years. And I'm quite certain that Mother Earth will continue to take care of herself. She has survived meteorites, comets, any number of celestial perturbances that have struck her and changed her climate, volcanoes, everything else. The Earth doesn't need to be saved in that sense. The human species needs to save itself from itself. The Earth will go on. It has a spirit, it has an energy, and a truth far beyond what the petty mortal reasoning of the human race can conceive. How do we save ourselves? That's the real question. The next question, which is, I think, very much related to that, is world peace possible in our time? I have an emphatic yes to that question. I have felt that for many, many years, for most of my life. I've felt that peace is possible within our life, within our lifetime. Most people would look around and say, it's absurd to think that. It's absurd to think that we could keep from destroying ourselves. How can we possibly do this? Well, the issue is, what makes man, what makes the human race distinct from the other species? Of course, we could say what makes us distinct is our ability to destroy, our violence, our inability to control ourselves, our capacity to spread all over the earth indiscriminately, our ability to create trash wherever we go. We could say, oh, that makes us distinct. But we can also say, what makes us distinct in actuality is that we have spirit, that we have a soul, that we have a soul essence, that we have consciousness, and that our consciousness can expand and be raised. And this is the point. If there is to be peace in our lifetime, it will be because we have a capacity in our consciousness to actually change ourselves and to change the world. The collective possibility of our consciousness as a unified, synchronized force has yet to be truly tapped. It is through the synchronization of a collective mass of consciousness that we can attain peace and that we can change the world. The great psychic Edgar Cayce once said that if the human consciousness were harnessed together as a force, it could actually change the activity of the sun. This is the truth. The sun affects our electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic affects our brain. Our brain can affect the electromagnetic field. We know that we live in a field of consciousness. We know that we live in a bioelectromagnetic field. And how we think and how we feel and how we do can change that whole field. There were studies that were being made by the Princeton University research group, as well as another organization called the Global Coherence Initiative, and they demonstrated that, for instance, at the 9/11, that there was a great spike in consciousness. And satellites actually detected a perturbance in the electromagnetic field, and that was due to the massive response in the human psyche to what was occurring at the 9/11. Even more interesting is that there was a spike in consciousness and in the electromagnetic field more than 20 minutes before that event, which demonstrated that there was some kind of intuition in the collective unconscious foreshadowing that occurrence. We know that the medicine men can make thunderstorms, can change the weather patterns. Well, the collective human consciousness can actually change the electromagnetic field of the earth. The collective human consciousness as a synchronized force can change the whole field of consciousness itself. This is very possible, and it's attainable in a very, very short period of time. All we need to do is to put out the word to create mass global synchronized meditations with this particular focused purpose, and we will be able to do it. We will be able to actually create peace and create miracles. This is how we get to attaining world peace within our lifetime.